Today on the Topping Show, Facebook Meta launches a new spyware censorship app called Threads. People now know two WNBA players as one calls America trash. Mattel begs people that the Barbie movie is not feminist. YouTube makes a new policy which may drive users away. California bans gas transportation trucks by 2036. Uber Eats and DoorDash sue New York City. White House has cocaine but no desire to investigate. Gee, I wonder why. And Levi Strauss stock dips dramatically after they adjust their forecast. All that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Today's episode of The Topping Show is sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and service company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Now, going on to the business part of the podcast, you have Facebook, also known as Meta, launching their new app called Threads, which is a glorified spyware and censorship app. To their credit, it looks like between 30 and 40 million people signed up for the app within 24 hours. So in regards to adoption rate, that's pretty astonishingly good for a new app. Granted, it is a pretty good springboard. It's pretty much, I would guess, most of the people who already have the Facebook and the Instagram, they kind of signed up for it and piggybacked off of it. And of course, it's a direct competitor to Twitter. And that's where all the parallels are coming from in terms of all the comparisons, and it's even advertising itself as a microblog, which is a fancy way of saying, limiting the characters of how many words you can type out or how many you could post. So it's like Twitter, but more censorship, which, yeah, it definitely is a Facebook product. Now, keep in mind, they got about 30 to 40 million people signed up within the first 24 hours over at Threads. Now, Twitter currently has about 450 million active users, and I believe that definition is now defined as you have to log in at least once a month and perform some type of activity. Maybe it's a like or tweak or reshare or retweet or the bird beats, whatever the speeds. And it's interesting to see what are all the terms and conditions. And I know it kills me that, it's not a coincidence that in the United States we have record low scores for history, mathematics, and pretty much everything they use test for it in public schools. And so I'm guessing a lot of people are not reading the actual terms and conditions, which if you could teach someone one thing in life, it'd be to read a contract before they sign it and read the terms and conditions before you sign your life away on all these applications. Because many of them are more intrusive than not. Case in point, the Threads terms and conditions. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I know I try to sift through all the boring stuff to try to bring the most pertinent information to the forefront. Now, when you sign up, you get to give them permission for location, personal information. They define that by name, email address, login info, which makes sense. You're signing up with an email address. You have a login, username, the passwords. They also want your phone number. All right. They're blatantly also going to say they're going to track your political or religious beliefs. What? Why? Why is that any of your business? Well, it's actually pretty obvious. It's so it's even better for targeted advertisements. So let's say you're of the Jewish faith or Catholic. Maybe they might sell that information to a marketing company that sells Bibles or yarmulkes or dreidels or Ben Shapiro merchandise. It seems like it'd be good for targeted advertisements. So that might be one of the reasons why they're doing it. But they also say they're going to keep track of your sexual orientation, which I don't know how they would guess that. I don't know if when you sign up, because I didn't sign up for this bloody thing. I don't know if they sign up, they ask you are you straight? All right. Thanks to the current society, there's an unlimited number of all these things. So I don't know how they quantify that in terms of marketing materials. Not very valuable, because if you can't quantify something, how do you measure it? But they are in the terms and conditions. They say they're going to keep track of your sexual orientation, as well as more things. So more things, they're going to keep track of your financial information. Now, some of it makes sense. They're going to keep track of your user payment. So if you buy maybe the premium Platinum Falcon Banana Falcon plan that they have on Threads, they're going to save that credit card and they're going to recharge you every year, like most subscription services. That makes sense. But then you dive deeper into what other things they're going to track. They're also going to track your credit score. Which, why does a social media company need your credit score? That's something where there's only a couple major corporations that are actually tracking your credit score. It's where you get it from. You can go online to the website, you can check it, what have you. Now, this is great for Facebook because, again, they're getting more data, and data is value. I mean, I believe it's 2019, a couple years back, it was the first time in world history where the most valuable thing on the planet was actually data. It wasn't actually a hard consumable product like oil, natural gas, diamonds. Think of, more, not tactile, but more quantifiable or more physical items. There's a fascinating point in business history, but that's another reason why they're mining all of this data. Now, you might think that's crazy enough for Threads to gather all of that, but no, it's almost like a rudimentary, crappy infomercial when you're looking at terms and conditions. Like, wow, this seems invasive. This seems pretty invasive. But wait, there's more. They're also going to keep track of your health and fitness, which I don't know. I don't know if they're going to use the phone's accelerometer to see how many steps you're taking a day, or maybe they're going to track how many times you post an avocado toast or whatever white women just brag about these days on the internet, which really overrated. I don't know. I've actually never had avocado toast now that I think about it, but they're going to keep track of your health and fitness. They're also going to keep track of your messaging, which makes sense. It's on their platform, but still. They're also going to keep track of your photo and video, which that is actually pretty cut and dry in terms of social media companies. Any app that you actually have to post from, they get access to your, which is concerning. I don't like it. They get access to your photo album on your phone because the app has access to that for you to actually post it on their platform. Hopefully there's some type of workaround in the future where they don't have to have all access to that, because I find that abhorrent because your photos are your photos. But wait, there's more. They're also going to keep track of your audio, your files, and your documents. So I work in the company that I own, Topic Technologies. We do a lot of cybersecurity, and one of the things that big red flag to me is why do they need my file and documents? My documents? And is that just for the cell phone? Or is that every device that's connected to your cell phone? Keep in mind, most people in corporate America, a lot of them have Microsoft Outlook, the email app, on their cell phone. So you can have corporate documents on your cell phone. All of a sudden, now Threads have that? A lot of that, depending on what you do for a living, that could be proprietary data, aka the most important part of the business, the lifeblood of the business. It's the thing that makes your business special in addition to the people. But wait, there's more invasive BS. They're going to have access to your calendar. That has to be one of the most invasive things I could possibly think of. Think of how much of a security risk that is just on face value. All of a sudden, a third party knows everything you're doing in terms of, oh yeah, what if you have a meeting between a competitor? There might be a merging of two major businesses. As crazy as it sounds, it would never happen because the SEC, for this hypothetical, or the Security Exchange Commissions, but what if the CEO of PepsiCo is meeting with the CEO of Coca-Cola? And that was on a calendar invite. Now all of a sudden you have a third party that's privy to that data. And of course, Facebook will probably say, oh yeah, we're not going to do anything with this data. Granted, I know test scores are down and so is IQ, but I would hope people wouldn't believe them given their track record. They also want to have access to all of your contacts. Again, that's concerning. Those are your contacts. Why do they need them? Your app activity, which if it's that one app, sure, but why do they need to know other apps, depending on how that's worded, how that's misinterpreted. And then your web browsing, which I always thought was annoying as hell because you already have the web browser tracking you, it's how Google became one of the most powerful companies in history, is because they sell the data of what you search to the people who sell the stuff that you're trying to search, so you can have targeted ads. And yeah, that's interesting. So if you have Threads on your phone, it looks like they'll also track that as well. So if that wasn't abhorrent enough to have such a burdensome spyware app on your phone, what about censorship? It's kind of like Facebook's bread and butter. It's like peanut butter and jelly. Without censorship, it wouldn't be Facebook. Now, it looks like, of course, conservatives are already being censored on the platform, which I wasn't unique in saying I called it when I first read about this last week and reported on it, but there's like a 1% chance I was hoping I was wrong. Because again, if you really want to make change in society and bring society together, You need to have an open platform where people can debate ideals and beliefs and get to know the other side of the equation. Being in an echo chamber really isn't that advantageous to growing your opinion or growing society. It really doesn't cause most to grow and develop. I think there's a lot of growth and development and value to be had by debating people with opposite ideals or different ideals, because then you learn more about their opinions. And even if you don't agree with those positions, it would also bolster and strengthen your own arguments and what you're trying to debate as well, perhaps. So there's a lot of benefits to having that opportunity, which, if Facebook was smart, well, big if, but they could have said, we're the opposite of Twitter. We will let literally everyone on the platform. Because right now, Elon still has a couple folks where he will not let them back on the platform, either for personal ideological reasons. So it's much, don't get me wrong, Twitter is infinitely better than what it used to be, but it's still not as great as it could be, because there are still some people who are not allowed to get back on the platform. Now, specifically, it looks like there's an account by the name of DC Drano, which I looked into. It is not a sales representative for the Drano product, where you get hair in your sink or other stuff in the bathroom, and water's not going down. You put the Drano in, then chemicals clears it out pretty good. So no affiliation. He's not a sales rep for that company. I thought that might have been interesting, but it looks like he posted an article in which he wanted to expose the Biden's corrupt government and quote unquote, and then they flagged him and censored him. And if you attempt to follow this particular person on the threads, it gives you a quote. It says, "This account has repeatedly posted false info that was reviewed by independent fact checkers or went against community guidelines," which of course we're never privy to. Well, guidelines, unquote. Faux pas on my part. And if you ever just do a couple minutes of research to look into all these third-party, supposedly independent fact checkers, they're just political Ponzi schemes or political, bureaucratical, one-sided equations. I've yet to see someone fact-checked on the left side of the political aisle, really. Kind of like censorship. I have yet to see. I see it more and more affecting one side of the political aisle than not. And I found very little evidence to prove me wrong thus far. There's some magical... I'd be astonished to see if that changes in the future. I highly doubt it. But in terms of a business development, this is pretty... Many companies have tried to overtake Twitter, but a lot of people are arguing it was first in class, best in class. There is a big advantage in technology to being first. Or Facebook second, because they killed MySpace. But it's one of those things where Facebook does have the resources. They have a lot of cash in the bank. They have the Facebook user base, which is huge. So if they might have to really push their user base for the adoption rate to start to rival Twitter. And then there's also, again, I didn't able to see it in my documentation when I was researching it, but there's also rumors where if you installed the Threads app, if you want to uninstall it, it would also force you to destroy your Instagram app as well. So it'll be interesting to see if that plays out. That could provide more of a kind of the stick approach, or the, it's not the nice way of keeping people on the platform, but it's a good way of threatening them. Be like, well, do you still like that old app, right? Well, you can't have one without the other. So we'll see if that turns out to be fully fledged, and as I always say, time shall tell. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers this month, so every time you click that button, it greatly helps us out. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Each one of those things also helps us out a lot as well. Appreciate the critique and the feedback. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.